What's going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of Indigenous Podcast. It's great to see everyone here today. Juan, Kuali, this is going to be a great episode. We're going to discuss some very serious topics that are happening, within the country, within um, just government-related, societal, political issues. Everyone that follows the news pretty much can see what's happening, at least in the U.S. So again, I'm really looking forward to this video. Um, and without further ado, Juan, we already know Juan Quali, our dear friend who started with us in the very beginning. And that was, oh my gosh, yeah, 5 years ago. So
Right.
6 years ago. So Quali, if you wouldn't mind just maybe reintroducing yourself to our friends that will be watching this and just kind of go from there.
Hi, Piali. Hi, everyone. I'm Kuali, and I started educating Latinos about their indigenous identity and roots and heritage and history. About 6 years ago. And yes, Marcus and Juan, we will all go back to that time since then, and it's been great. It's been a roller coaster because this is now very common to hear about Latinos and their roots. But back then, um, there was really no one talking about that yet. We were the pioneers in the beginning of this movement, really, of the indigenous, the Latinos, the sleeping giant that started to reclaim their indigenous identity um, during or around or after the Obama time, and during the families in cages through that, and it really sparked the movement because, at least in me, because President Barack Obama, was needlessly uh, putting brown families in cages, and to make that short, it just really put a fire in me to question everything, um, reclaim my indigenous identity, and spread that message to all the brown people, all the Latinos, that this is our land. We're not illegal. We are natives, and that's how I got started. So then I came on IG and started to create awareness for our people.
Oh, and we've noticed that over the years, you've blown up a whole lot. You've gotten a whole lot more followers on both TikTok and IG, like to a really big amount. So you've done a lot of good work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, and it was it started off like it was like trying to break through a wall, like a brick wall, really, because nobody wanted to hear it on it. Like, no, Latinos were just kind of like, it was new to them. And then we had all of that pushback from the tribes, certain people in tribes, like youngsters on social media, that were giving a lot of pushback and a lot of fight, because they were just uneducated. This was new to them too, so it was just really abrasive in the beginning. I think that since the beginning, and all that effort that I put in, and others that joined the movement and put in the effort to spread awareness and the message, really paid off, because now the movement has grown, expanded. There's lots of accounts talking about how Latinos are indigenous, how Mexicans are indigenous, and we're native, not illegal. There's even native people and tribes now who back us up, and also talk about us being brothers and sisters, and kinfolk, and they mention our lineages that we have together, and the history here on our lands together on Turtle Island. So things have definitely changed since then. So yeah, and my account has grown a lot since then. Yes.
I was gonna say I noticed that there are changes with this discourse since many years ago. So me and Marcus, we kind of like realized this whole native ancestry thing, like had a revelation of identity back in, at least for me, it was in 2020. I think for Marcus, it was around the same time. But I remember back then that if you got on Facebook or these other groups, like even if it was like groups outside of the native sphere, let's say, and you would say, oh, well, Mexicans, a lot of them are Native American racially. I remember back then in 2020, there would be people that would argue with you. They'd be like, what are you talking about? Like that's completely incorrect. And so you would argue with them and you would win the argument. But nowadays, the change I see 6 years later is that if I say that on a random post, like let's say my local news comment section, let's say they're talking about like Mexicans and illegal immigrants or whatever, right? And I say that Mexicans are Native American racially, or a lot of most Latinos are. I don't have anybody arguing with me on that anymore. And I feel like it's because they know now and they realize that. And that message has circulated so much to where regular people now don't get pushback on that stuff. So I think that's immense progress. And I have to say that has to be from your efforts and from a lot of people in your circle's efforts, because otherwise, how did this change? It's through social media that it changed.
Yes, we made that change, because I remember all those people that pushed back on me, fought me. They would respond to my videos and like, you know, do these long worded, winded videos responses to me, and stalk me, even doing like crazy things to me. But yeah, we would argue. Other people would argue with them, and we would just stick to our guns until, it took me years to formulate words and ideas that would stick in people's minds. Like, and yeah, now I do have like a good formula that I stick to, and it is very direct and straightforward, and like I'll say things that like people hear it and it makes sense to them. Like, if you are not Native American or Mexican, you're an immigrant, you're a foreigner. And now I could say that now, but before, people were gonna be like, what are you talking about? But it took years to get there. And now even you can hear like celebrities repeat that phrase because they know enough. I think it's really like the modern age too. It just helps that we have the internet, and they could quickly do some research about Mexicans and how this was our land before and how we've always been here. But definitely the effort was tremendous, and me and my friends were doing it. We were constantly posting on Instagram, making videos. We would have events. We would any event we would go to where we were invited, we would speak on this, and there would be all kind of people. There would be Latinos, there would be Native American tribes, there would be celebrities, there would be all kind of people at events, at protest events. As I modeled, and anyone we got in contact with, we would educate them. We would educate our stylists, the photographers, everybody. So, and then we also would teach inside schools in the K through 12, college, all the levels. When we would get invited and get the opportunity, which I'm still open to, but yeah, we would always educate everyone we went, and that has made a big impact. But definitely, overall, must have been the social media efforts, because it just goes.
Yeah, so many viral videos, like it just gets so much traction, and I think that's what changed a lot.
Yeah, the creativity, you know, a lot of brown youth, and just in general, the creativity is the gateway for education for brown youth, especially because our ancestors were very creative people, very intelligent, creative, mathematical people. So that's how they learn best. Yeah, they do like to laugh a lot and joke a lot, and so there's just that creativity is the best way to teach them. So I use like TikTok and all those trends and things like that to teach them. And now I'm getting into film, so definitely a lot of creativity there to work with, to expand the message further about history and culture, Mexicans, Latinos, and how it's all rooted in our indigenous identity. So definitely the creativity is what really really works overall for me.
Oh, for sure. I was gonna say one thing that I was surprised is like um I've done like let's say some historical research, and it's just kind of how things have changed. So like in the past, what's interesting is that in the late 1800s or the early 1900s, this wasn't like a debate in the past. Like white Americans understood that Mexicans were natives. They would call us Indians. In fact, they said that we couldn't naturalize due to our Indian blood and stuff like that. You can find a New York Times article from 1935 that says the same thing, that there was a legal battle on that. So I just think it's interesting how this was known, and this wasn't anything controversial or like, oh, what are you talking about? Like Mexicans are native, right? But then somewhere along the lines, like after the 50s or 60s, it got lost to now it's changed again. You helped flip the script, but I just it was kind of just shocking. I'm like, when did that knowledge get lost where people like stopped associating that? Like, when did that happen? I just think it's kind of odd.
I think it happens in waves. I think it's just definitely the administration changes people's perspectives. Like Donald Trump right now is making everyone think we're illegal. And we've had that multiple times. Multiple presidents do that to Mexicans and brown people, calling us illegal wetbacks and deporting us. Mass deportations. All that is what creates ignorance, the racism. Yeah, but in fear mongering, all that, ethnocentrism. But yes, definitely centuries back, a century ago, they already knew we were indigenous. Everyone across the board understood. They knew, but then then here comes the brainwashing and all that, and now we're back again to reversing it again. We gotta just keep reversing the propaganda. Yeah, the racist propaganda.
Although at least now, because of social media, like what you're saying, the possibility of it getting reversed or getting lost again is very small, considering like the virality and like how things go lightning fast and everything's online. So I think this time it's here to stay, that type of knowledge. But we just gotta take advantage of it, the fact that we got them on the back foot, and just keep pushing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's always gonna be haters out there saying, oh, this or that, or just shut up, or it's not important, or blah blah blah, or you're just an influencer, blah. But the thing is, I use this creativity and these tools, these modern tools, to do something great, great for our people. To create a movement and to educate and to wake the sleeping giant. And if they can't see that, if people don't understand that, that's their own loss. But it is a powerful tool, and it's just like filmmaking in a sense. But filmmaking is even better because you can't really control films, so or censor it. So that's where I'm headed, because as you guys can see, there's a lot of censoring going on with TikTok, with Instagram, and just I don't see the future being really long for social media in the near future. So I'm prepared. I've been preparing for that. So I've been making my exit to filmmaking. That way I cannot be stopped.
Yeah.
I want to interject really quick, Kuali. Before I had a few questions, but you brought up a very interesting point. So, what makes you? And if I had to guess, my answer, but like you said that you don't see a future too much in social media. So, me and Juan are both podcasters. We're freaking out. No, I'm kidding. I'm curious. Is it because of like the advancement of AI, where you can see so much content that's not from real people, and that's where you see that, or just some other thing? Sorry, yeah.
I get your question. I think it's a couple of things. I think the censorship of the government,
Yeah.
the dictatorship, and also just the AI issues that are coming up, and you just they're trying to flood us so we can't so we question everything, and we can't decipher what's real and what's fake anymore. So we just give up. And I think a lot of people will get exhausted and give up, and they'll just because there have been a lot of times that people just got off of social media because they were exhausted. I don't know if you guys recall those, but there were like several people I knew just like canceled their accounts and were like, I give up, and like, and I see them doing that again because people are human, and it is very stressful and exhausting and tiresome. So, and they'll switch to other apps that are not gonna censor or have propaganda and stuff like that. So we've seen that, and so I expect that. But I know there's like Substack, and there's like I don't know if OnlyFans is one, but like there's the other one, Upscrolled, and there's YouTube. So there's still some that will probably hold out longer before they're bought out or something. And I'll probably still use that, like YouTube and Upscrolled and Substack or something, until they're gone. But I just think that the life expectancy probably won't be that long, since of the censorship and the AI and all that stuff.
Hopefully, it doesn't come to that. I mean, we'll see how things turn out with these next elections, or like with things like that.
Right.
I mean, I have some hope, but I mean, I understand like the the more bleak outlook, because things lately have been pretty negative. Like especially in this country. So I understand.
Juan, sorry, we're going to say something, Kuali.
No, just yeah, there's definitely a chance it'll all change or turn around and stuff, but sometimes I just feel like we are being prepped for the next phase of like more control or something. But that's all I meant.
And it's also not bad at all to ever be prepared for like a backup option, or like how you're doing in filmmaking. Even with the filmmaking though, ultimately media has a lot of power, like Hollywood does, or like film portrayal. So that does change opinions on a mass scale. So that's also just very good invested anyway.
Definitely. Yeah.
Juan, would you say, in terms of what Kuali mentioned, you run your TikTok account, have you seen examples of censorship and like other things recently or lately, or would you say that's still pretty much the same, or there's been instances?
I'm suspect, because on certain things with TikTok lately, I've noticed that they're a little bit more hypersensitive with giving you strikes for no freaking reason, for one, and so that can lead to them just banning you. Maybe they use it as an excuse, right? Another thing is, it's like sometimes videos can get like kind of like shadow banned, and it's very obvious because it'll literally have 0 views for no reason. Now the app has had some hiccups because it got acquired by Oracle and like these other American companies, so it could just be like a system infrastructure problem, but I don't know. I don't trust it completely, since like it is outside of like the traditional control of like ByteDance. I mean, I just thought the whole thing was nothing but a power and money grab. Like there was no reason to even change things. ByteDance handled it effectively, So I can see where Kuali's coming from, where they may slowly start implementing more shit and more censorship slowly over time. It may not happen overnight, but they might start just chipping away, man. I mean, I've seen some signs of it. Hopefully it's not indicative of the fact that it'll go full swing like that, but we'll see.
Now, Kuali, I think you've made maybe some Instagram posts, or maybe it was you that mentioned this before, where some videos or content that you posted on Instagram was shadow banned, or you very much knew that certain content that you were making was being purposely not hidden, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
You're okay.
Yeah, like when that switch happened with the ownership, um, with the Meta ownership. Yeah, me myself and a lot of people, they experience like shadow banning. Like we wouldn't get any more views. We wouldn't get any views. Like it was like it went all the way to 0 views. I was just like, okay, what's the point of being here then anymore, right? And then slowly started to get a little bit more, but not really much more anymore, like the way it used to be. It was just like now it's just like anywhere from 0 to like anywhere from like 30 to maybe to tops 200 views now. Like it's really bad. But I hear that the lives are still good for work. Like you can still earn. So that's good. I guess I'll still use it for that. But and then on IG, I did get these like no warnings, warning, not no warnings, but I got like a cancel. I forgot what they called it, but your account has been banned. It was your account has been banned. I didn't get no warning. It just said, oh, due to association with an account that went against community guidelines. And I was like, okay, what does that have to do with me? But so I appealed it, and it's not even easy to appeal it. Like you have to like log yourself. You get logged out. You have to try to log back in, and then you appeal it. And then um, I waited just a few days, like 2 days, and then they got back to me saying you're banned permanently. So I was like, excuse me, but Yeah, so I just lost an account. That was only like a few weeks ago. Yeah, like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And so it's just gone like that. There was no warnings. There was no. That was a fairly new account. Like I'd only been using it for a few months. Just started it, and I had been collaborating with a lot of accounts.
Yeah.
A lot of activist accounts. A lot of similar interest accounts. And that's it. It was really just a information account, and I didn't even like post anything about like Gaza, Palestine, any like any things that are like hot topics like that for censorship. I didn't post anything like that. At most, ICE stuff, but it said that it was just due to association with another account that went against community guidelines.
So weird. So like they didn't provide any additional feedback that time you appealed it. They just said, "Oh no, just fuck you," basically.
Right, and even days before, just like 1 or 2 days before that, someone was warning me that they were doing this to organizers, and I said, okay, I hear you. And I was like, I'll be cautious, but like, don't really know how to be cautious, right? But she was like, oh, just don't say these keywords in your post, right? And she was telling me that a lot of accounts, yeah, they got banned this way. And sure enough, a day or two later, they did it to me. I was like, wow, that was fast.
Dude.
So, not too sure about what's going to happen with these social media accounts acting up all weird like that.
That makes sense. I mean, that's definitely a fear to have, a reasonable and fear, and that's like the future of censorship, right? I think as the events that our government has gotten us into recently could
Oh my,
lead us to more censorship, or they'll try to normalize it, right? In terms of words that you shouldn't say, topics that you shouldn't bring up. And yeah, it's a little scary, right? Because it makes our future a little bit uncertain of what direction we're going to go.
right. It feels threatening. Like we are being controlled, censored. Very third world country.
But I try to be optimistic a little bit and maybe see if things will get better. But you never know
I mean,
nowadays.
where there's a will, there's a way. We'll just have to make films or plays or go back to the old ways doing theater.
Yeah, doing theater.
Yeah.
Go back on
There's always a way.
MySpace. Yeah.
Oh, MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace. It'll be rebooted again. Everyone will be on
Right.
that. It never actually died, and Tom is still there somewhere. Um, but yeah, I think that leads us to another good point in terms of what direction we're going, right? And Quality, I've seen a lot of your activism. I respect the protests and things that you've really stood for, in terms of rights of people that, specifically, immigrants, Native immigrants that have been unjustly arrested and have dealt with other problems against them from our government and others, right? Um, so, well, I guess my question for you is like, have you seen like this crackdown on immigrants and others that are even Americans that have done nothing wrong? So, what you
Right.
see, do you feel like it's been at its most severe, particularly compared to the administration of 2016 to 2020, like when there was ICE and there were other things that were happening? But do you feel like definitely now what you've seen, like you're in LA and you've seen it firsthand, do you feel like this has been more severe? I would say, to me, and from what I see, perhaps so. But I guess I'm curious from your eyes, from someone that's in California.
Definitely, I think it's more severe now. I think they're more the opposition, right? The forces are very upset that we have all these tools like social media that just exacerbates and documents their every move. their illegal abductions, their brutality, the violations of human and civil rights. And so definitely I think that is the reason they're so more severe on us now in this generation, in this time. Definitely. Before, I mean, during like Barack Obama, there wasn't really that much use of the social media yet. I mean, we were barely warming up to it. We were barely definitely starting to use it, but not like at this level. There wasn't that many people on social media yet. It was still like catching on. So yes, very severe now. I mean, I mean, they unleashed the military on us since June, since the ice raids began. I think they knew that early on that they could expect the community in LA and California to rise up as soon as they landed, and that's exactly what happened. Because California people are not that aware, or yeah, there's not that much awareness, but California is like it is the biggest, capital for immigrants. It is the most populated immigrant state. So they definitely were expecting it, and that's exactly what happened. They came here in LA, and I mean, everyone got out on the streets, and it was in Paramount, Compton, it was in the farms, it was out there in the Bell, Whittier, it was downtown LA. It just everywhere. People were out in the streets, doing rapid response, calling more people to come, and man, I was there at every single one of them almost, and we were ready even before they came. We were already protesting before they arrived, like months before the raids began. We were already protesting in the streets in mass. But yeah, when they came, man, they were bombing. They were throwing grenades at us, some sort of grenades. They were gassing us like endlessly, gassing us with tear gas, um, shooting at us rubber bullets and stuff, and these launchers. I don't know exactly what they were, but they were launchers launching some sort of things at us that like would like a gun, like a huge gun or something, but like launching huge things at us, right? And they were launching into like indiscriminately, not no targets. They were just doing this to protesters, just families. There was kids everywhere. That's what people didn't really see because the media. That's why the media wasn't really covering it because they didn't want people to see what was happening. But I was there, and there was kids standing next to me, and I was like really feeling bad for the kids there. But they were shooting at everyone, and there was lots of people hurt, lots of youth. They got all kind of cuts and bruises and bleeding, and then they would bring at the King's protest they would bring out those horses, the LAPD, to join in on the oppression against ICE protesters. They were on the horseback, and they were like trampling protesters right away. And since June, there's video footage of that. But there are some footage of things that we caught, but I feel like there was a lot of moments that were not caught on film because the media was absent, and I think it was biased intentionally, because even to this day the media is absent at most of the protests where the violence is occurring on behalf of the LAPD or the DHS. They're MIA, always are missing.
Yeah.
And but they like to record the protesters though, or some random people that are throwing things or doing graffiti. They're always recording that stuff.
Yeah, but not the actual like mistreatment. I think it's also I don't know if you knew this, Marcus. Quali, you may very well know, but I think it's fucked up they use tear gas because the military can't even use that in warfare. It's banned. It's chemical warfare for one, and for two, what I think is very dangerous about tear gas is that because whenever I went through the military and I had training, like they put us in a tear gas chamber, right? If somebody's wearing eye contacts and they are in tear gas too long, it'll dry and they can go blind. That's why they tell you not to go in the chamber with contacts. So that's why I'm like, why the fuck are they using this on civilians when a bunch of civilians do wear eye contacts? It's a normal thing.
Yeah.
So you can cause people to be going blind. Like, what the fuck is wrong with them?
Yeah. And not only that, I read that some of the tear gas can potentially leave women sterilized.
Oh, I didn't know that part. But they
Yeah.
shouldn't be used on civilians. Like, if it's not allowed in warfare, I don't know why the fuck they think they can use it for riot control. That's stupid.
I know, but I feel like that's where our leaders, they are seriously lacking or complicit with ICE, because why aren't they doing enough to protect us, or put their own bills forward that, like, ban certain things from happening at these protests, you know? And they waited such a long time to even pass any bill that would potentially protect or help protesters. They are very complicit, like the leaders of California, LA, LAPD. They're very complicit with ICE, and knowledgeable people like um, city workers and politicians. They have mentioned that it's because they are receiving money from ICE still. They still have contracts with ICE, some sort of contracts of some sort. So they can't fully go against each other for those reasons, for those interests, right? Corruption. But I think, yeah, we need to spend some time to talk more in depth about those things, like to investigate and release more of that information to the public. Definitely.
Yeah.
This little question I had, Quali, is you being in California and everything. I know that there's a lot of talk of your governor possibly being the next president. Do you have optimism there, or do you feel like he's just another person, a part of the system that I don't know what the consensus is on what people think of him, but I guess again a little bit off topic, but I was just curious, like in
I
terms of
think people are very swayed by propaganda. There's just a lot of propaganda about him right now that's kind of, that he probably paid for, that's kind of makes him seem cool or something. I've noticed the propaganda is trying to make himself seem hip or something. And all I know is that he's just performative, just like Mayor Bass. Like, they don't do anything for the people. And if they did, it was either because they were forced to by the people to do something, and or it was super late where it's not even, like, people have already passed away because they did nothing. And they have blood on their hands for doing absolutely nothing, for sitting on their hands and getting paid, right? So I definitely don't want to vote any of those back into office, Mayor Bass or Gavin Newsom, and I'm definitely gonna try to create more awareness about their inaction, their performativism, because, and I think Mayor Bass has like a scandal of corruption ongoing right now, but yeah, there's a lot of propaganda that's making them appear to be like hip, and that they're the best choice, but it's not even close. Like, they're really bad. They do nothing for us. I mean, we have always been, since June, calling Mayor Bass and Gavin Newsom and explaining the brutality, the ICE brutality, the LAPD brutality, and they have done absolutely nothing, responded nothing to come to a solution, or nothing, absolutely nothing. And we've told them, hey, LAPD's been literally cracking skulls of protesters. What are you gonna do about it? Don't you think you should do something about this? They're your LAPD. That you're the chief. What are you gonna do about it? Nothing. They didn't do anything for the people, and in fact, they just gave them they increased the police budget, Mayor Bass and Gavin Newsom, and they just hired more, and they didn't punish any. They didn't give any take any accountability for any officer, um, and they just continue to be brutal on the protesters. More people since June have been brutalized. Anything from cracked skulls to cracked ribs to um, miraculously not losing their life, like by ICE or LAPD. but came very close. So many came very close, like by LAPD. Like the woman who was shot by um LAPD was like 7 times, or not LAPD. I think that was ICE, but then yeah, I was ICE, and then there's 3 from LA that got their jaw permanently cracked and they had to like hinge it back. And then there was another protester that got shot in the cheekbone. He had a hole in his face. And a young woman who also got a hole in her cheekbone. And another one who like lost his eye. Another one. Yeah, it's just like ongoing. And all the protesters I worked with in the LA detention center have told me. Luckily, I haven't got brutalized, but a lot of the women too. Yeah, small women too got brutalized. They told me that they've been brutalized by LAPD and DHS ICE, and it's very concerning. It's unnecessary to just do that to protesters that are just standing there, literally protesting. And we have the footage. There's no provocation. There's no. I mean, other than just talking, which is no reason to harm anyone, physically. Yet they get brutalized. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's awful. I mean, I think there's a lot of issues with the policing in this country, like the way they just let them run roughshod over a lot of people. Like the fact that they insulate them too much and protect them. Like when there is mistreatment, like there is no public accountability of it. It's not like they announce like, oh, so and so is getting fired because he did X, Y, Z. Like they do it all behind closed doors, even if they fire somebody. So it's like if they wanted to improve community relations, you would think that they would do that publicly, or they would make a press release saying that so and so got terminated for misconduct. I mean, sometimes the news can get it, but that's because the news goes and fishes that out. But there should just be way more restrictions. I see like police officers in other countries that that have way more restrictions on them. I mean, for example, like the ones in UK, I know compared to American cops have way more restrictions on them. I feel like they really let the American cops here like really run like fucking cowboys, and they need to get a lot more restrictions put in place. To be honest.
Yeah, there was and then the band like Gavin Newsom and them were pushing like, oh well, we're finally gonna do make them reveal their faces in the next year in January of 2026, and then we all knew they weren't. They said they weren't gonna even. I said they weren't even gonna listen or comply with that law that forces ICE to unmask themselves, and but they still went on as if that was going to do something, and that was like the big white savior moment that was going to solve all the problems, and that was the only thing that Gavin Newsom and was standing behind. It was like I was upset because I know that that's not going to do anything. They already said they're not going to listen.
And what happened? Did they indeed not listen, or
They didn't listen.
that's
They still wear the masks. So I was like, that's performatism. They even said ahead of time we're not going to listen. So in my perspective, then you must come up with other alternative actions that you're going to enforce. That you're going to any other bills or ideas that you could come up with to help the people, the community, protect the people, right? But they didn't do anything else. That's all they wanted to do. It's just performatism. They just wanted to push that as if it was a viable solution when it really wasn't. It wasn't going to do anything and hasn't done anything. So
well, that's the thing. There has to be teeth behind something like that. Like if that's going to happen, then he should have LAPD go up and find the cops or find the ICE agents or whatever,
right.
But since if the legislation has no teeth, no enforcement, then he's just making it meaningless. There has to be teeth.
Right. No, but yeah. And then Mayor Bass tried to um she tried to badmouth protesters immediately when the LA raids began, and all she was talk about was, "Oh my God, the graffiti, and these protesters are bad, blah blah blah, and I'm gonna put a curfew on them." So she put a curfew on us, and then months later, she's like, she literally copied the protesters' tactics and made them her own project. I was like, what? Yeah, she copied the rapid response that protesters were doing, and she got these buses and painted them and was like, we come up with a solution and we're gonna drive around the neighborhoods in these, and we're gonna look out for ICE. And I was like, that's what protesters have been doing, and you've been talking bad about protesters this whole time. Like, she's just so performative, and it's unbelievable what they do to the protesters for clout, for performative clout, you know.
Yeah.
Just so everyone that's watching, Karen Bass is the mayor of Los Angeles, correct?
Yeah, Miss Karen Bass, Mayor Bass.
Mayor Bass. I feel like I'm talking about a fish or something.
Yeah.
The bass.
She definitely is fishy. They should investigate her.
Yeah, definitely. From what you've said,
I just think this whole thing like sounds dismaying, because you would expect that like a super blue state like California would have more protections or more things for their citizens with regards to, like, let's say this government overreached from like the Trump administration, but they don't. So I just think like that's just abysmal, because if it's not in California like that, then what hope do the other states have?
Right. And she said she swears, and Gavin Newsom, that we fight ICE, we are against ICE and all this like propaganda, but they haven't done anything. They don't do nothing. Instead, they go against the anti-protesters, like anti-ICE protesters, all the time. But it's just, you know, the way, and yeah, it can be discouraging because this is the capital of the immigrants right here in LA, in California, all over California. Yeah. But I feel like other states are doing even better, like Chicago, New York. They do, you know, they try. Minnesota, and it's ironic, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, you're right. New York does do better with regards to, at least their mayor is on board, it seems like.
Yeah. So I would think it's just corruption here in California. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time, because there was, when the fires broke out, they were talking about it being led to, tied to corruption, those fires, and Gavin Newsom was mentioned in that. Yeah. So I don't know. Money talks, bullshit walks. That's what
I like that one. I haven't heard that one before. Sorry, my camera that I was using.
That's the old saying, the old wise saying.
Yeah, old wise. Yeah, definitely old wise saying. Sorry guys, my camera switched over. I was using a Sony and now it decided to switch over to my laptop. So as long as you guys can see me and hear me, I think we're good.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah,
thanks. Thanks,
You're
guys.
good.
So yeah, I think to me, in terms of discussing this topic, one of like the disturbing kind of like things that I've watched is just like these agents that dress in like a mask and shades. Like it's just a little bit, it feels like we're living in some draconian, you know, dystopian world, you know?
Yeah.
And I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. It just feels very strange, you know?
It's
very
very
weird. Sorry.
Because we've always seen people that are masked up, and they just go abduct people as criminals, and then here they are. The government is now doing that. So I guess criminals just hijack the government and are abducting people in the streets in the daytime. In my opinion. But
Yeah.
they are government sanctioned. They are doing this within, you know, the administration's legal authority. They are supported by the government. So yes, it is draconian, and it's kind of like a nightmare. It's surreal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to believe. Like, I mean, not hard to believe. The evidence is clear, but I guess I'm just like speechless, because if we go back, let's say 10 years, you know, this wasn't really happening. And the whole thing with the masks, like their excuse is like, oh, well, we don't want the agents getting doxxed or like blah, blah. But it's just nonsensical, because police officers don't go around with fucking masks on anyways. Like the regular cops don't do that shit. And no one is going after these ICE agents like in other areas. Like, for example, sometimes they'll bring up Mexico, right? Well, the difference in Mexico is that the cartel has gone after law enforcement or military families and killed like the families. Sometimes it happens. there's no cases here in the U.S. where that's happening in mass to ICE agents or police officers. So the whole excuse is just horseshit. You know, nobody else fucking wears masks. You know, for
It's
the
just
shit.
an excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah. And actually, that's a great thing you bring up because right now there were statements made like by Keith Hexes or one of them, and they were claiming that there's so much violence against ICE men agents, and that they're just so at risk because of the high risk of so many cases of the thousands of the cases of doxing ICE agents when there haven't been any. There've only
No.
been one case of doxing an ICE agent, and they lost that case last Friday. And it was literally here in LA, and it started right after they first got here in LA in around September, and it was down here in LA and down in Baldwin Park, and it was my friends, and it was women who were working downtown at the LA ICE Detention Center who followed an ICE agent because they believed he was doing rapid. He was going to. They were going to conduct an ICE raid, and they were following that car to the ICE raid, and they were going to do rapid response, and they live streamed the whole thing, and that was the only case, and they lost that case just the past Friday, and I was there at the trial. It was a week-long trial, and I've been there through the whole entire duration of the case. And they tried all kinds of intimidation um, charges and just faulty charges. They accused these three women, Sandra, Cynthia, and AK, of assault on an officer, doxing an ICE agent, and conspiracy to dox. So they tried to throw the book at them. They tried to give them over 10 years in prison, and they lost. They lost their indictment, their original indictment. They lost the case just this past Friday. So the women were found, all three of them, innocent of doxing an ICE agent, and that was the only case. But they were found guilty, sadly, of stalking because the jury was misinformed. They were pressured by the government prosecution during the trial, and um, the prosecution, I believe, misinformed them, and and pressured them to believe stalking took place when all the lawyers there disagree and say strongly that that is BS. That there's no way that a one-day event with no past history of stalking, with just recording literally ICE agents, is gonna fit the criteria of stalking.
No, I mean, I don't even have the legal definition in front of me, but stalking, I already know, requires a pattern of consistent fucking behavior over a period of time. It wouldn't be a one-time thing. That's stupid as fuck.
Yes. So they're trying to appeal that, but unfortunately, they're already found guilty of that as we speak. So, this is the kind of treatment that protesters and rapid response are getting because they want to silence and intimidate us. They want us to not protect our communities, and they want to so desperately to find someone guilty of something they can charge them with anything, like stalking. And it's not going to work. They're going to. There's These women are strong warriors. One of them. Cynthia,
Yeah,
and
she's a good friend.
and this has really affected me too as a friend, and as someone who was there and just barely missed the mission because I had to go to Alaska, so I wasn't there with them. But it affected me because I had to step in because they took my friend and the other leader of the group of ICE out of LA, and they asked me to take over, and because they were getting arrested, they're going to jail. So I did, and I did it because we needed that, and we needed to keep the movement going. The protesters needed somebody out there to help them through this, and keep it going, keep the movement alive, because they tried to to break the spirit and try to discourage all those protesters and intimidate them. And it was working. All the people got really sad and depressed when they went into jail, you know? So I did my best to try to keep it going. And, I'd do it again, but that's what happened. And these women won their case. But unfortunately, they are still fighting this stalking conviction.
At least with that conviction, is the penalty very severe, or is it more minimal, like probation or
I mean, it is severe.
severe?
It is at minimum, I mean, at max or minimum 5 years in prison. So, and then sentencing depends on the judge. Like, not sure what kind of sentence the judge will give them. But who knows? But in the end, they're gonna have to continue to be strong and fight this silencing and this oppression that ICE is putting the protesters and rapid responders through. And they're not the only ones looking at these kind of charges. They were the first ones looking at this unique set of charges, though.
Yeah.
So they were to be made the example, but ICE lost the case. Unfortunately, ICE lost that precedent that they were trying to make. So rapid responders couldn't do their work no more, and protesters. But in a positive light, the First Amendment is still intact. You can still protest. You can still do rapid response because they lost that case. They lost. The jury found them innocent of doing anything wrong when they were protesting or doing the rapid response. The only thing they found was that following them from the MDC, from the LA ICE Detention Center to his residential street, they found that to be stalking, which is not stalking. But
no,
here we
it's
are.
not for one incident,
Right.
But no, I hope they're able to win the appeal or get off from that last charge.
Right. Well, we have to keep the public informed and supportive of our sheroes in our LA sheroes that are standing up for the community against ICE.
Do they still do they have like a GoFundMe for more to cover more legal costs for this type of stuff, or?
At the moment, no legal costs, but I know Cynthia has one for travel, court costs and all that, because she has to travel from state to out of state for court and all that, and it's really cost her a lot. It's cost all of them a lot of money, and they lost their jobs and all that. So yeah, Cynthia has one on my page, and I'll share that after this. I'll share it.
We can put that in the bio, Marcus, to help out.
Yeah, definitely. I want to share that in a few links of Kuali's pages and content as well.
Thank you. Should appreciate that.
Yeah, but of course.
Cynthia wanted me to let everyone know that, that they're still fighting, and there was a victory. She does not want rapid responders or protesters to be discouraged because they were found innocent. So there was nothing wrong with what they were doing. So continue to do your rapid response and your protesting.
Yeah, thank you, Kuali, for sharing that story. And yeah, I hope that everything will be.
She doesn't want them to win. She doesn't want them to win and strike fear into the hearts of all these people that want to protect the community. It's very important.
Yeah, thank you, Kuali. I guess my follow-up question to that is, do you feel like since this started, the protests and everything and the arrests, it's really awoken others that are also immigrants or they're native descendants that also kind of see that, they're more than just like, Hispanics and Latinos. Like they know that there is some connection to us, to the lands, right, and everything as well. Like, do you think that despite like the problems that have came from this, right, the arrests and the damage and everything that's happened, but it has awakened others that maybe were not awakened before, in terms of who we are as people?
Yes, And I think that's a good question. I think yes, it is awakening other people and native people,
Mhm.
and it's good for sowing unity that we so desperately need right now. Um, I think that just the fact that alone, like right away, I started to arrest Native Americans from the tribes, who were just walking along, minding their own business. Um, it begs them to question, a lot of things about Mexicans and brown people, Latinos, because we look the same. Like a lot of us look the same, and then it forces them to start to question, why they we look the same, and why are they ICE going after Native people in the tribes, and it forces people to wonder, and to open up that thought process and critical thinking, because prior to this, people were just comfortable and just living their day-to-day life, but when it comes knocking on your door, and suddenly your neighbor or your child or your mom or your brother got snatched up by ICE, then that everything changes, then you're forced, to see something that you were just didn't care about before, you didn't care to think about and bother yourself with. And it's just, a little bit of I want to say a privilege, but it's for Native Americans, is they just have the upper hand when it comes to the non-recognized Native Americans like Mexicans and Latinos, who are forced to migrate and are displaced from their lands. We're still facing a lot of colonization and oppression up until today, and maybe they didn't notice it before, and they didn't see us before all this. But I think now they're starting to really see that, and I've had a lot of people reach out to me. I've had natives reach out to me from the tribes and give me support. Um, I've definitely felt that the Lakotas are always good about supporting us and being vocal about it. Some of their members, they'll post on Instagram, or they'll hold press conferences and mention it, um, or they'll do like TikTok videos. There was a Mid-Walkington people also did a video on TikTok that which I shared, and they were out there in the detention center over there in Minnesota, and they were saying, giving us support and saying, like, this is native land and those are our brothers and sisters, and we're here to stand against ICE, and there's really good supporting words and that come from the heart, and they're very heartfelt. They're felt on our end whenever I share them. People go wild. Mexicans go wild. Latinos go wild when they see those videos because they love the support. They love the unity, and they know deep down that we're related. They know we're all related, natives from the Americas. Latinos and the Native Americans. So yeah, every time anyone posts that kind of unity between Latinos and the Native American tribes, it those videos go viral. We should post them more often.
Yeah, I think though I could see why they would go viral. It's pretty powerful stuff in my opinion. Just to see it, it's not something a lot of Mexicans will expect to see.
Hmm. But I love to see, my favorite ones were the ones who don't speak English, um, are making such an effort to, one, post these videos, and two, they're sometimes in the videos, and they're like can't even speak English, but they're like trying their best to be like, this is my brother, and like, yeah, and they're just like saying like little phrases here and there, but they're like, yeah, we're the same, and like, they can't really like put it into words, but the feeling is there, the bond is there, and they're really proud of our relatives.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
just think that it really speaks volumes, because there it shows that even though colonization did a number on us, then we speak different languages. We don't speak our native language. on both sides. A lot of the time, no one speaks their native language, whether it's Latinos or the tribes. And then we're speaking English or Spanish, and nonetheless, like we're trying to connect with each other, regardless, on social media. You know, in so many ways, it's really really a beautiful thing to see those videos, the unity.
It is really beautiful. It's nice. I think the best part is just seeing the youth, right? Like kind of wake up more and, watch, TikTok videos that discuss what we're saying and watch YouTube videos, things like that. And then you see them also making content as well because of what they see. I think that's a great part. And at the end of the day, that's, one of the two things, as far as this channel and you guys probably just push for is one is just like us waking up to, who we are. And then two, like one day having that recognition, within the US. And I believe we're getting there. I think we've made a lot of progress, especially, you Quali, you started, I think, before me and Juan did. So, just really proud of you and all the work you've done, with activism, with just like unifying people and just what we discussed earlier. So, yeah, thank you so much for doing it. And same to Juan as well. You've also put in a lot of work. So, yeah. That
Thank you
being
guys.
said, yeah, of course, no problem. I feel like I could ask you questions the whole day and probably extend this for like 3 to 4 or 5 hours. But I know
We'll do
we
another
both,
one for sure.
For sure.
yeah, definitely, no, for sure we will, and I'll be looking forward to that. But yeah, that being said, I know we are at an hour and a minute, so again, I want to be respectful of you guys' time, so I think we'll wrap up here. If you guys have anything else you wanted to add, just please feel free. Quali or Juan, did you guys want to say anything else before we stop the recording?
Oh, I guess I'll just tell our subs that so I'm sure they know I speak 4 languages, but I chose the fifth. I'm going to start learning, but I'm going to start learning Nahuatl. I already bought the book and I already started learning, so that'll be my fifth. I felt that
That's awesome.
I felt that it was a little bit of a shame that like I know 4 other ones and not a single indigenous, and I'm like, no, I really have to fix that. And I was like, and it just kept kind of calling to my heart. I was like, I really want to learn an indigenous one, and so I know I have some Tlaxcalteca ancestors. They spoke it, and then I know the Guachishil. They spoke it because it was a trading and diplomatic language, so they use it as a lingua franca. So I'm like, I'll be speaking what they spoke. So let me go for it.
That's so cool.
Awesome. I really support that, and I'm happy that you made that choice, that conscious decision. That's amazing. And yeah, for Mexicans, a lot of Mexicans, you can just learn now because that's the language that your ancestors were speaking. It doesn't mean that your ancestors were Aztec, but that's the language that our ancestors were speaking. They were using
It, it was a lingua franca for centuries. A lot of them used it. So
yeah. People need to understand that it's not a bad thing to have pan indigenous um, unity and practices. Some of them I consider them is sacred. Pan indigenous to me is sacred in certain for certain uses, practices. But I just want to put it out there that you know, like learning your language that's important, but also you can search up your genealogy, which that guy can help you with probably if you have questions more than I can, and then you can find out a lot of information, and it's free on Family Tree, Family Search. That's where I did mine. It's not easy to use. I'm not gonna lie, but you can once you get used to it, if you have questions, ask someone. Find out how to get past the hurdles because then it becomes easy. But it's important. You can trace back. I've traced back one of my lineage, one of my grandparents, all the way to the 1300s.
hell yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I was like,
amazing.
and I was like, stop! I don't want to know no more. That's it. Like going too deep. It was like one of my grandparents went all the way to Spain. Oh god, I didn't want. It's like at one point in the 1300s, it was talking about like they were medieval like lords, and I was like, I don't want to know anymore. Stop, like stop. But yeah, because I mean, if you know anything about it, it's like we're that doesn't really pertain to us. That's the Spaniards' ancestry. It really doesn't have anything to do with our ancestors. They were just across in another continent, in a different time period era, right? And so we don't really have, connection to them, and other than just distant DNA, which is to me and a lot of people, we're not going to identify with that,
Yeah.
and we save that for the next podcast.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. I thought it was indigenous ancestor at first. So you're talking like someone like, wow, we have records with someone from the 13th century all the way
Yeah,
in
well, mine
Mexico
went
or something.
all the way. Yeah, mine went all the way to like when the whole way, like they got here around the 1500s, and then that's when my native ancestors information can be found in the 1500s. But then I kept going and going, and it was like going all the way to Spain. I was like, no, like, yeah, it's crazy. It's talking about kings and lords and
Yeah.
all of these crests and shields popped up all over.
Well, honestly, you could have fooled me, Kuali. I would have thought you were 100%. So,
Yeah, I figured she was 100%.
yeah.
It was
But
scary.
yeah, I think that's definitely some topics I think we could probably talk about next time. Is just like DNA, looking up your ancestry and things like that. Like I think that's one of the contributing factors in terms of what kind of like wakes us up, right? In terms of like looking up where we come from and like what makes up our ancestry. And I think a lot of people are surprised when they find out, what their background is in that. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
I mean, you can tell by looking in the mirror, but ancestry sites help.
For sure.
Yeah,
Just so
definitely.
you can see who you come from. Like you can see their names, you can see the time periods, the places. So I've offered those types of services. I've helped a lot of people find their tribes, doing research for them. So
I think that's great. Great
oh,
work.
thank you.
It really is. So yeah, I'll close it. Sorry.
Oh yeah, we'll close it out then.
Oh, sorry. You're gonna say one more thing, Juan?
Oh, I mean, well, not to get in a tangent, but I was just gonna say, I'm moving abroad in a few months, but basically the genealogy business stuff that I'm doing, I'll be doing that full time. So that's all I'll be doing, primarily helping people just find their roots.
That's great.
So
yeah, that's really good. Yeah. So for those that are watching again, if you want to look up your genealogy, reach out to Juan. Kuali, she has amazing social media accounts. I'll drop those. Those will be in the description. So please, check those and subscribe as well.
Yeah, poly.indigenous and illegal_natives.
Sweet. Thank you. And then, yeah, definitely those links will be in there as well for you guys to look. So, again, thank you both for your time. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. It's been great. Again, I feel like we could talk for hours. But we'll cap it off at here. So, to those that have watched, thank you for all watching. We will definitely see you all next time. So,
Stay tuned.
yep, stay tuned. So, thank you.
All right. Bye.